Hello everybody, hello and welcome to Guild Wars Reforged that releases today, as of the day of recording the video. I welcome you. This video is like a part 0 to the series of what they don't usually explain about the game, and it's intended primarily for people who are going to launch the game for the first time. Now, don't skip the intro, I'm about to tell you what to expect from here, and down below you should be able to find the timestamps for all the topics that we'll be discussing. So, really quickly, we will talk about the campaigns and what campaign to choose and what campaigns can offer you if you were to play them. And I will give you a recommendation of which campaign to choose first to have the best experience. We will talk about the settings and the sort of very basic things that could help you alleviate some crashes, potential issues, and stuff like that. And we will talk about external resources and things that you can use on your own to help you yourself, have a good time with the game. We will not talk about the professions. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of different people covered a lot of stuff on professions and which profession to choose and stuff like that. The long story short on professions is that you have 2 of them, you are not locked out of other profession skills, and all of them are very viable. The only exception to the viability is when you're playing with other players at the very end game, doing hard stuff with really, speed clears and stuff like that. You don't care about that. You can clear every content in the game solo with characters on your own, with any profession on both normal mode and hard mode. So that out of the way, professions are not going to be the topic of today. So let's kick it off. Oh yeah, one more thing. For those who will skip the campaign segment because you've already made your choice, please do watch the Prophecies one, the Prophecies segment, at least the end of the Prophecies segment, because that's an important bit that will lead into Eye of the North. All right, now let's kick it off with campaigns and what we've got. So really quickly, we have 3 campaigns to start with: Prophecies, Factions, Nightfall. If you want a specific profession to play, like Assassin, for example, or Ritualist, you have to start in Factions to be the first, to have your Assassin or Ritualist as your first profession. Likewise, if you want to play Paragon or Dervish, you have to start on Nightfall. So that's, non-negotiable. Other than that, you can start in any of them, and you can then, which is important, you can then play other campaigns with that same character. So if you start on Prophecies, you can play in Factions later, and you can play in Nightfall later with the same character. You'll just have a little bit of a shortened version of that, where you skip a bit of the, starting area and some of the setup, and the game kind of treats you as like a hired, a foreign person that comes to help with whatever problem the campaign is facing, right? So that out of the way, let's quickly talk about all the campaigns. Prophecies, let's start with that, is a pretty standard medieval setting campaign with a long, heroic journey that kind of focuses on you. You get to experience a lot of areas that are familiar to you if you're coming from Guild Wars 2, because the place or the area that Prophecies takes place in is pretty much the previous iteration of where Guild Wars 2 now is, right? You have, Old Ascalon, you have the Shiver Peaks, you have Lion's Arch, where I am right now, you have the Magumu Jungle, you have, the volcanic islands and the Crystal Desert, and all of that is pretty cool and exciting. The things I will tell you about Prophecies is that it is a very slow campaign. It takes a very long time to complete. It is, well, the longest one in the series. And it is not very new player friendly. It starts rough, it doesn't teach you too much. The first area in the campaign is something that you can never come back to, so if you miss something there, you can never complete that again. So it's a bit better to start the Prophecies when you already know something about the game. And the difficulty in the campaign is a little bit wacky. Some things are easy, some things are rough and long, and you will have... That sounded really wrong. You would have missions where, they take a long time, and then at the very end there's a big difficulty spike and you have to redo the entire thing. So, not a very new player friendly, in my opinion, but if you do like a lot of lore, if you do like reading and taking it slow and exploring every corner, you could have a good time here. I'm just saying that it's not probably going to be the case for the majority of players. You also do not have access to customizable followers in Prophecies, like these ones, for example, where you can customize their gear and stuff. In fact, those followers only come from Nightfall, and I will mention that later. But that about wraps up Prophecies for us. The next one is factions, and I'm actually not going back to the title screen. I'll just show you where factions takes place. It is probably familiar to you if you've played Guild Wars 2. If not, it is a sort of Asian aesthetic inspired campaign. You have cool sort of Shaolin-style monastery on an island, and then it goes into a very sort of hyper-populated city where, you travel on top of rooftops of buildings and all sorts of, very crowded, cramped kind of environment. The campaign is about, you can see here those buildings and those environments are pretty unique, I would say. The campaign focuses on investigation style, sort of you're following a trail of something bad happening in the world. And in terms of, what kind of themes you expect, the campaign deals with the topics of plague and different faction wars. You see this big line that separates two factions. There's one faction around the Jade Sea, a big frozen sea area, which is really cool. And the other one is the faction in the large forest, the Echo forest, actually. Huge trees, Avatar style kind of vibe. Really cool environments, really cool setting, and pretty cool campaign, honestly, with pretty cool lore. The only thing I will say about it is that it is very fast-paced. It is like the polar opposite of Prophecies. It is the shortest campaign in the series. It levels you up really fast. And the problem with that is that you have a very major difficulty spike. You have this starting island where you have your early levels and stuff like that, and then you get to the main continent, and then you get pegged pretty much. Difficulty, mobs appear from under the ground. They ambush you. They attack you. They have interrupts. They have blocks. They have spike AOE damage, and you can get nuked. I play all of the campaigns on hard mode, and to me, if I struggle on hard mode, probably new players will struggle on normal mode. So, for me, Prophecies kind of kills me the most, I would say. Now, with that out of the way, Prophecies, again, also doesn't give you customizable followers. The last campaign on the table is Nightfall, right? Where, Kamadan is like the town. And Nightfall takes place sort of around where Living World Season 3 and 4, I think, take place. And, the whole Path of Fire shenanigans in Guild Wars 2. Again, I'm comparing to Guild Wars 2 because I expect that a lot of people from Guild Wars 2 will come to Guild Wars 1 nowadays. But yeah, this is the most modern, I would say, experience in the game. I would hardly recommend that you start your first character in this campaign. It has a very balanced starting area. You get just enough time, you get to know the game, you get taught the game, which is really important. The Nightfall campaign has a actually good tutorial and a good starting zone that you can, try things in. And then it goes into the main continent where you do a bunch of cool stuff. The difficulty rises as you keep going, and eventually, the end game of Nightfall is really hard, but also really rewarding to get through because you actually get the time to learn what's happening, right? And you have the time to experience everything and find out for yourselves. Very hard recommend. Definitely go for Nightfall. In terms of themes and sort of environments, as you can expect and see from the map, most of it is the desert, right? So environment-wise, it's not super varied, but you do get cool, riverlands, you get oases, you get some, rich sort of Arabic-inspired cities and, pompous, luxury kind of places. You get the sulfurous wastes and the desolation. That's pretty cool. And in terms of themes, you partake in an entire full-on war, which is awesome. And you also get to participate in a rebellion and build hideouts and all sorts of that kind of like infiltration work, some, masquerade, whatever. Very cool. Definitely recommend Nightfall. Yeah. And I guess that kind of wraps up this topic. There's one more thing I want to say. Is that there's also the Eye of the North DLC, which is not available in the same pack as you get probably all of the other campaigns as part of the Reforged, but it is, in my opinion, a must-play. It is one of my favorite DLCs to many games, I would say. It competes with a lot of other games' DLCs. It adds a lot to the game. New skills, like specific to Eye of the North, like all of these title track skills, all of them are available here. It adds dungeons, it adds a hella cool story, it adds new companions that you can hire, and just a bunch of cool stuff. And it ties into Guild Wars 2's history as well, really well. There's one thing that I want to tell you for those who want to play Eye of the North, which probably is all of you, definitely play Prophecies first, a little bit. Just complete the newbie zone in Prophecies. Specifically, when you just start on Prophecies, and you won't see it on the map here because, as I said, that's a zone you cannot come back to. When you just start the game in Prophecies, there's a little city that you begin in, and if you exit it and then turn left immediately, you should see a couple characters. And one of them is a very peculiar character that you probably will recognize pretty quickly. You need to complete the 2 quests for that character. One quest will be given right away, and you'll be able to see it in your quest log, like this. But after you complete that, the second one is a hidden one. It doesn't actually show up as a quest. So for that one, you need to bring to the character 2 things. And I'll tell you this right now because it's a bit convoluted, but you just need to bring them a replacement for the item that they were searching, and 3 flowers. You find the flowers, just growing on the ground, whatever. Just pick them up and bring them to that character. If you do, you'll receive an item that you should save until you play Eye of the North. And then here in this DLC, you should be able to get a quest. Or actually a couple of quests, but specifically there's one that's only available with that item. And that's really cool. I think it's a cool payoff. It's a cool callback as well. So definitely do that. And one more note about Prophecies. If you do play that, there is one place in Ruins of Sirmia, in this little outpost here, there is a quest named Cities of Ascalon. That quest rewards you with an item that is this one, Grimcester, health minus 50. A very silly item, and the reason I'm saying this to you because, it's a very unassuming thing and a very niche thing to know, but if you do get it, please save it because it costs a lot of money, right? It is worth a lot of money. So you'll be able to sell it to other players, and you'll actually have enough money probably to buy some endgame gear for yourself. So it is very valuable. Definitely save it. It is useful for different farms, and it's like a key element to farms. That's why it's worth so much money. And only Prophecies characters can get it. So, with that out of the way, we're done with campaigns. Let's get on with settings and some meta knowledge. So, for settings, the first thing I'll tell you is, you see at the top here, there is a district that you can choose. It's basically, the servers, the proximity, right? If I go back to Camadan, which is the most populated town, it's like the player hub for everything, right? All the trade happens here, the majority of people dwell here. So Camadan, you see, I'm in District 2, and I'm right now not in peak time, right? So a lot of players are here. That means probably District 1 is occupied. I can still try. Maybe it's not, it's almost full, but point is, play on American servers. That's probably where the majority of players will be, right? Maybe with release now, European servers will also get populated, but just to let you know, probably most of the people will be here. Another thing is, well, not another thing, there's a bunch of other things. In terms of settings, right? Let's talk about those. This is going to be a pretty quick one. But one thing I want to say before diving into it is that, you know how, Larian Studios loves their game, and that's why, you see a lot of cool details and cool interactions and Easter eggs and all that stuff. Similar, Silksong has the same kind of vibe, right? The developers loved the game and they put a lot of cool things in it. Guild Wars 1 actually is one of these games as well. The devs really loved what they did, and they did put a lot of gimmicks and, history and little things for you to find and discover. There's an entire iceberg on it that somebody made recently, which is pretty cool. You can watch that on YouTube. But point is, let me cover that chat. Point is that one of them you can find actually in settings. Specifically, there's a language setting named Bork Bork Bork. And if you select that, the entire interface, even your skill descriptions, everything gets just translated into whatever this language is. Damage, Atixis, Lungoagi, and English. It is goofy, it is funny, this is awesome, right? The game also has a bunch of chat commands. I'm not going to show you chat, but you can type, for example, /guitar, and then your character starts playing the guitar. And the animation actually varies from profession to profession, similar to /dance animation. Dance is different per profession, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, sorry, I closed the settings. Back to the important things. In the settings, the first thing you want to see is that if you're having some crashes, if you're running like a very good hardware setup, right, really important stuff, it's likely that your game will have pretty much unlimited frames. For that reason, it can crash. And in order to fix that, you can use this frame limiter setting in the graphics. You can set it to 60, you can set it to monitor refresh rate. For me, refresh rate works just fine. Another thing is with your sound. If you change your sound device, your output device, while you're playing, while the game is running, your game will actually stop producing sound. It will not recognize the new device. In order to fix that, there's this little tick, optimized for stereo headphones. Just tick it off, tick it back on. Or if you keep it off, then you just tick it on, tick it back off, and it should be fixed. Essentially, it just forces the game to discover the device and sort of work its software towards the device, right? That's pretty cool. Another thing is that you can, you see my layout of the interface, right? The minimap is here, the other minimap is here, blah, blah, blah. You can change all of that in the interface tab. If you click interface, you'll see every single thing that can happen on your screen, including this little tiny ping dot, if you want to move that. And you can actually drag and drop these boxes. You can increase the size, decrease the size, reshape, whatever, right? You can customize the entire thing to your liking, and it's fantastic. You cannot change the direction. So, for example, I cannot make the health bar, a vertical one, but I still can change, I can make it square, I can make it, thick, thin, whatever. That's convenient. And another thing is in controls, you can actually manually assign buttons to a bunch of different things, including commanding different heroes, including changing, opening inventory, making some type commands, and basically pretty much everything that you need really for the game. You can customize that. Definitely skim through this. There's a bunch of important things that are not set by default or set to like weird buttons by default. That's a cool thing to do as well. And one more thing. Almost any window in the game, like for example the skill panel, right, or this minimap, can be resized by dragging the bottom right corner like this. You don't have to open the settings thing to do that. You can just actually, resize the windows if you want. You can do that. Actually, you probably cannot do that with your inventory because it's pretty limited to the backspace. But anyway, you can do that to this. You can do that to the quest log, whatever you want. Those are pretty cool. And that, I think, wraps up for the basic settings of the game. There's a bunch more stuff that I'm talking about in this series of things they don't explain about the game, like different controls and whatever. So do check it out if you're really new to the game. It will really help you, discover things that the game doesn't actually explain. So on to topic number 3, the last one, and a very, very important one, the external tools. What do we have? What can we have? And stuff like that. The first thing, a very obvious one, is Wiki. You have Guild Wars Wiki, similar to Guild Wars 2 Wiki. You can find literally anything on this one. You can type any words. You can type something like, bow attacks. And then, boom, you have a list of all bow attacks in the game, right? Really cool. And even skills that interact with bow attacks and relate to bow attacks. Like this, for example, thing. Inflicts bleeding on bow, right? Stuff like that. Definitely a good tool. Do not forget that it exists. You can, I think, even type in the chat something like /wiki bow, and then it will prompt you to go to an external website. So that's number 1. Number 2, there is this tool over here called Guild Wars Toolbox. If you download that and run that, and the way you run it is basically you start the game client and then just, minimize it and then start the toolbox. It will be an overlay app that I personally use a lot. And the reason why I'm saying that it is a good tool is because, one, it will actually highlight some items and tell you how much they cost. So if you drop something and it contains like a cool rune that you didn't know if it was, valuable or not, it will actually tell you if it is, right? So that's cool. Another thing is it can help you track damage. There is no internal, damage tracker, and this tool can help you, see if you're doing a good job or your heroes are doing a good job. Maybe you can select a better companion to run with using that tool. It can also help you track the duration of your lasting effects, like enchantments. It will show you, green when it's okay, red when it's running out. It can show you little bars of, how much time is left on a specific event. And there's a bunch more things. Really quickly, so that you don't get overwhelmed by this huge menu, I'll just show you what I have and what I recommend to run. Scroll all the way down to settings. Settings this eye means that it's currently visible. So right now this panel is visible, right? What you want is you want to open it and then click show in main window, right? And that means that in this tiny toolbox thing, you will see settings right here, and it's available to you by just a single click, right? So enable that. Then travel is not necessary, not at the beginning anyway. It just helps you, bypass having to change continents before you get to specific cities, right? So it doesn't matter too much. I would recommend another one, which is effect durations. That's what I explained about the little bars of duration in the green and red colors and the skill bar. So both effect durations and skill bar, you can show them in main window, but they're not necessary. Just click the eyes and they should be working just fine. Everything else is not necessary. You don't have to run that. It is, not... It's not a tool that I use excessively. I just use it for, damage and some tracking. And that's about it. This tool also actually allows you to set markers on the map and let you travel towards those markers as well. And it'll show you like a little green line if you get really lost. You can use that as well. So highly recommend. It's a cool tool. Very cool. Next, there are two tools I will show you at once. There is Kamadan Trade Chat, which actually sources messages from Kamadan from, want to sell, want to buy chat. So these are actual real messages from our real players in real time, right? The reason this tool is cool is because you can check different prices of things that have been sold. So if you drop some cool item, let's say, I have... Let me quickly open my chest. Oh, one more important thing about the toolbox. The toolbox allows you to do this /chest, and it accesses your bank. You don't have to actually run to the bank to access it. So if you drop some cool item, like, I don't know, this cool spear, the blood spear, right? You can just type here, blood spear, and then boom, you can see how much people are selling it for, right? Very nice. Really quickly, E means ectoplasm, it's this little resource. K means 1,000 of gold. And A, if you find something that is typed like this, that is a very, very expensive resource from endgame of Nightfall. It costs like 40-something ectos, right? So anyway, this is a cool tool. Definitely use it. You can also use it to like find somebody selling something you need, for example. And in some rare occasions where you drop a really rare item and you don't know how much it's worth, there's this forum called Guild Wars Legacy. It is, a forum, people discuss random things, challenges, whatever. It shows you some daily quests, and you can also find price checks. You can ask people to actually, give you a fair price on the item that you have so that you can sell it for good money, right? So cool, really cool tool. I don't use it myself too much. I just check sometimes for the daily stuff and maybe check some prices, right? That's my use case personally. One more tool I'll show you, but will discourage you from using, is PVX. PVX, you can just type in here like PVX, and you should see it as the first pop-up, right? Is basically meta battle for Guild Wars 2. It's a build sharing website where people create meta builds. The reason why it's good is because if you are stuck, struggling, or are upset about how difficult the game is, which it can be sometimes, this can help you solve that. The reason why I say don't use it is because Guild Wars is about making builds and, creating those team compositions. You have over 1,300 different skills. Just look at this. I'm going to show you what you have access to, and that's not even all of it, right? It's this for the ranger, this for the monk, this for the mesmer. Like, all of these professions have a fucking million skills, right? And you get even more from just PvE and different title tracks. It might seem overwhelming, but you get access to them very slowly, right? You just progress through the campaign, you learn a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and different campaigns give you different skills. You don't even have access to all of them at once in one campaign. You have to actually play through multiple campaigns on the same character to do that. So it is a very gradual process, and you will learn a lot while doing that. So I do recommend that you play with it. There's a lot of synergy, a lot of cool stuff that you can do. But if you do struggle, or if you're the kind of person who plays only for, story and nothing else particularly, that's completely fair. That is up to you to do that. And there is this specific page that I will link in the description. It is a team composition for new players that actually lets you make builds that are going towards the meta ones using the very like early accessible skills and heroes and stuff like that, right? So you don't have to run around and do weird shenanigans to unlock things. You just follow that guide while playing through the Nightfall campaign, and you should be good, right? So that's kind of like the easy way out. All of that said, I believe that about wraps it up. I sincerely hope you enjoy that. I sincerely hope you enjoy your experience with Guild Wars 1. If you stick around, you should be able to find more cool videos about, controls and gear and sort of weird things that are never explained anywhere properly. I'll hopefully be talking about that very, very soon. I'll show you how skills work, how to unlock things, and, all those things and tricks. And with that said, if you're a veteran player, leave some other tips that you want to see new players explore. If you're a new player, leave questions. We'll try to answer them communally, sort of. And yeah, I hope you have a good one. See ya, and enjoy Reforged. Bye.